In this video, we'll discuss how the Nightlords are just many aspects of a greater existence, the God of Night. This god may be depicted as the colossal eye in the Nightlord boss arenas, but whose true form is this swirling vortex, the Cataclysm. We'll discuss how the Knight's power twists time, allowing for the manipulation of fate. Finally, we'll talk about how the cutting-gifted tribe may have been responsible for sealing the Primordial Nightlord's rune within Heolstor, akin to how Marika sealed the Rune of Death within Malakath. The Nightlords are all quite different. Each seems to be a Nightlord because they hold dear some aspect of night as a natural force. It's like they each have a different flavor of the night. The augur, Maris, had its interest piqued by the strange taste of this night, which was all too lonely. We have night as loneliness. Libra's a demon obsessed with the concepts of impartiality, fairness, and equanimity. And because the night swallows all, then the night is impartial, and thus, the night is a champion of balance. Fulgur, the Darkdrift Knight, was betrayed by his fellow servants of the gods, who severed his left arm. As he turned back to look, he fell to despair. This might be night as despair or betrayal. The sentient pest was driven from its home when its secluded forest suffered from a drought and was eaten away by desert. Thus, it was forced into exodus. You could interpret this as loss of the home, or perhaps famine and hunger, considering how it sends out swarms of locusts to eat away at our levels. The gaping maw devours anything and everything it encounters, fitting with how the night has been described as a devourer of worlds. Overall, though, there's not a ton of similarity between the Nightlords. They each have their own backstory and their own reason for being interested in the night. Instead, we're given an explanation for how the Nightlords are related: the traces of night. As the priestess explains, the Nightlords, at first glance, they appear unruly, ramshackle even. The traces of night must be the sole reason they can work as one. Each Nightlord possesses a trace of night, and we receive it as a reward for beating them. Its description reads, "The qualities of the Nightlord, bearing the manifest potential to alter fate itself. The light dimly reveals the contours of a greater being that lies beyond the Nightlord." The traces of night have this bright spot of light at the center, which to me does maybe look like an eye. The light is meant to reveal the contours of this being, and it may be possible to divine some details from the swirling colors here, but nothing is for certain. But what is this greater being? The priestess tells us, each trace of night is a beacon that reveals a larger truth. Defeat the Nightlords, as you did the beast, to claim 4 traces of night. Only then will the light reveal what lies beyond. Once we defeat 4 Nightlords and collect 4 traces of night, the option to face the 8th Nightlord, Heolstor, is made available. This suggests that the greater being that the light revealed is in fact Heolstor, the Primordial Nightlord. Which makes sense as the night aspect's description says, "Beyond the boundless night there lies the hazy figure of a person. That is the night's origin, and enemy to the world." Heolstor, the Primordial Nightlord, is called the origin of night. All things night, including the traces of night. Iron Eye says, "So there's more than one lord? That explains it. They have the same scent." The reason for this is that each trace of night, and thus each Nightlord, seems to be part of the Primordial Nightlord. They each only own part of the night, hence why their relics each only say the part of the night belonging to X. As the priestess says, "I believe with traces enough, the parts will begin to resemble a whole." Heolstor, the Primordial Nightlord, is literally the embodiment of the door leading to the Nightlord's boss arena. Curving around his right shoulder is what appears to be a metal dragon head, and we see a similar shape in the stone curving around the top of the door. Heolstor's body is a large vertical black rift, which looks akin to the vertical black rift of the open door. The Nightlords are within this door, as the Primordial Nightlord's rune is within Heolstor. This suggests that each Nightlord is actually a part of him. In a sense, they are all one Nightlord. A better way to phrase this is that the Nightlords are each a different aspect of night. A single god with many aspects is an idea in George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire universe. The Faith of the Seven worship the seven who are one, a single god with 7 aspects. Likewise, the Faceless men worship only one god, the god of death, and believe that all the gods of the world are simply different aspects, or faces, through which death has revealed himself to humanity. Hence, they formally refer to their deity as the many-faced god. There may be a parallel here to Marika as well. Because the Elden Ring is housed within her, some people have theorized that by shattering the Elden Ring and having each of her children claim a shard, the Great Runes, she was splitting off parts of herself into each of her children. The night may have split up parts of itself as well. Every part is just another aspect of night. The text seems to indicate that Heolstor is behind everything. He's the primordial Nightlord, the greater being which lies beyond the boundless night, the night's origin, the whole that the pieces add up to. But I'm not so sure. I'm highly suspicious of the fact that there are only 7 Nightlords, and then the main primordial Nightlord as the greater being beyond. Yes, A Song of Ice and Fire has the 7 who are one, but in Nightreign, the pattern of 8 is prevalent. There are 8 Nightlords, 8 Nightfarers, and the Divine Tower trees, which play a central role in the game, are covered with the pattern of 8. The pattern of 8 is pervasive throughout Elden Ring, and depicts 8 circles around a central middle circle, like the pattern seen on the Divine Towers, which evokes the Eye of the Fell God. It bothers me very much that we only have 8 Nightlords, and not 8 Nightlords and then a final main Nightlord of which the other Nightlords are just aspects of. I think instead that it's likely that there is a greater being beyond the Nightlord, because ultimately, Heolstor is merely a vessel for an even greater existence, the god of night itself. When Iron Menial is talking to Wilder, he says, "The influence of the Nightlord may also be at play. Records indicate that the approach of night can trigger similar phenomena in all manner of things. The mere presence of a god can alter the essence of that which surrounds it." In this text, the Nightlord is likened to a god. In Elden Ring, what is referred to as a god or outer god is typically more like a force of nature. We have the god of rot, but rot is really just the natural process of decay, or alternatively put, the cycle of rebirth put into practice. Marika is a god in that she is the vessel for the Elden Ring, and the Elden Ring represents the laws of the world, the order. There once may have been a god of death, but since death has been removed from the order, there is no such god anymore. A god is like a natural law of the world. Hence why Iron Eye, talking about the Nightlord, says, "I've had to face shifting targets before, but never a natural phenomenon." So when we talk about night in the Nightlord, what we're really talking about is a force of nature. And this force of nature that is night is manifesting itself as an actual force of nature, a storm which produces night's rain, which is referred to as a cataclysm. Heolstor is the primordial Nightlord and the origin of night, but that does not mean he is the night itself. Rather, he bears resemblance to Marika. Within his chest lies the primordial Nightlord's rune. Like Marika is the vessel for the Elden Ring, Heolstor is the vessel for the primordial Nightlord's rune. This explains his name. In Old English, Heolstor meant darkness, veil, covering, or place of concealment. It's related to the word holster as in a gun holster. The darkness veil meaning is fitting for the being who is the origin of night, but the holster concealment meaning is fitting for the fact that Heolstor is a vessel for the Primordial Nightlord's rune. Another thing that's important is the following line. I'm not sure if this piece of text is actually in the game, it might be cut content, and it's going to be a little while before the wiki is fully accurate and updated, but I did find this text snipping in the full text dump, seemingly a note from the recluse. The vestiges procured were proof enough her theory held water. The proliferation of lords was just a precursor, and that behind their creation was an existence which guided them to the power required to ascend. This suggests that the creation of the Nightlords is merely a single step in a greater process. Elsewhere in Elden Ring, when we hear the word ascend, it's usually in the context of someone ascending to become a god or a lord. Thus, we can reason that the Nightlords were being guided to become lords in the first place by this greater existence. My guess is that this greater existence is not Heolstor, but rather the god of night itself. This existence may have enacted its will by bequeathing the traces of night to the Nightlords. They have the manifest potential to alter fate itself, and maybe how the night guided the Nightlords. Heolstor needs to be revealed to us by collecting traces of night from Nightlords we've defeated. This may be what is meant by precursor. This also coincides with Nightlotio being revealed. Nightlotio is a combination of Noc, meaning night, and Lateo, meaning to lie hidden in Latin. Thus, Nightlotio is the night that lies hidden, like the Primordial Nightlord lies hidden. It's probably no coincidence that Heolstor and Lateo both mean hidden or concealed. The Nightlords were precursors to both kinds of hidden night being unveiled. Each Nightlord's boss arena is actually the same arena. The same sandy landscape, with the only real notable feature being these two pillars, one angled, one vertical. Using these pillars to orient ourselves, we can compare motifs between the arenas, which reveals something else. There's always an eye watching us during the second half of the Nightlord boss fight. This eye is most defined in Caligo's fight, where clearly it's an icy blue eye. In Gladius's fight, looking towards the sunset, we can see golden red arcs of light bending across the sky in the shape of an eyelid, and the setting sun is placed in the middle of these two pillars, representing the pupil. We see a similar view in Sentient Pest's fight, as well as Augur's. In Gaping Jaw's fight, the vertical slit is blown wide open, but is still reminiscent of an eye. Equilibrius Beast's sky doesn't look much like an eye, until you realize that he has 4 eyes in the center of his face, and this is reflected in his sky. Darkdrift Night is the exception, because the clouds block the view of the horizon. Given how the eye appears in every boss's second half of the fight, always in the same location, we can presume that it's the same eye. This seems to be confirmed in Heolstor's boss fight. In his second phase, instead of an eye, there's an enormous, swirling vortex. But when Heolstor flies up into the air with his sword raised, he splits the vortex open into the shape of an eye, revealing what appears to be a view of each different Nightlord's boss fight. You can even see the pillars within the eye. This act gives him the affinity attack power of the respective Nightlord whose fight is being witnessed. This suggests that every eye is the same, and the eye is the vortex. A cool feature of the icy blue eye from Caligo's boss fight is that it's in the shape of a dragon, presumably Caligo. The dragon's head curves around the eye, which bears resemblance to something else. The door to the Nightlord's boss fight, as well as Heolstor's armor. Both have the shape of a dragon curving around to the left. Plus, Gaping Jaw and Caligo's eyes have slit pupils which match the rift in the door and armor. This suggests that this eye is equivalent to this door, and by extension, Heolstor. The Nightlords are contained within this door. Heolstor is the Primordial Nightlord, and contained within him is the Primordial Nightlord's rune. The things contained within the door are the Nightlords, the Primordial Nightlord's rune, and this eye. I think that this eye is the true Nightlord, the true god of night. I did mention how the only real distinct element I was able to make out from the Traces of Night icon art was that this light in the center looks like the side profile of an eye, and the light is revealing the contours of a greater being which lies beyond the Nightlord. It could just be referring to that individual Nightlord we received the trace from, but to me it sounded like it was talking about a greater being which lies beyond the Primordial Nightlord. What I love about this possibility is that it would satisfy the pattern of 8. 8 circles which are each an aspect of a central middle circle. Look at the Night of the Lord relics. They each say the night belonging to X, left upon its defeat. They are also each dark gray circular coins. Each Nightlord is a different aspect of night. Putting them together in a circular pattern evoking the Fell God's eye, you get the pattern of 8. And at the center of the pattern of 8 is a larger, central circle. The description for Fissure in the Fog may be mentioning the eye. The great shadowy pair of eyes, framed in frigid mist, are said to appear at history's great junctures. The thing is that we don't see a pair of eyes. We only see this one eye in the boss arena. I have a gut feeling that this phrasing is meant to have a double meaning. The large eye in the sky is singular, but Caligo has 2 eyes. She uses frigid mist spells, and she spent her time watching the world and committing to memory what she perceived. She only appears when there's a great juncture of history, like witnessing the Nightlord's Cataclysm. But I think this description applies to this giant singular eye in the sky as well. After all, it's no coincidence that Caligo's fight depicts the most realistic-looking eye, and is the only boss description to mention eyes. Thus, if we apply this description to this eye in the sky, and knowing that each Nightlord's boss fight's eye is the same, and knowing that this vortex is the true eye, then by the transitive property we can apply this description to this vortex. That this place, this vortex, appears at history's great junctures. This eye opens to the boss fights of each Nightlord, which is how Heolstor is granted their power. But we can only face Heolstor after we've defeated at least 4 Nightlords. This eye can open to any fight, suggesting to me that the eye can see into the past. Or perhaps rather, it's an eye that exists beyond time and thus can see all of time. I think there's also an argument to be made that this eye is perceiving memories of the Nightlords, which is possible because the Nightlords are each aspects of the night, but even still, to look into a memory means to look into the past. There's precedence for this. The old pocket watch is an item cursed by night and, quote, whose hands only tell twisted time. This gigantic twisting vortex may be twisting time to see into the past. Note the purple dot on the pocket watch's cover. The ancient dragon smithing stones are scales of the ancient dragon lord, whose seat lies beyond time, and they themselves are capable of twisting time. And Placidusax lies within a giant swirling vortex. His arena also looks like an eye, and I suggested in my Primeval Current Fate video that living beyond time gives him the ability to see all of fate, all memories of the world. A parallel to Caligo, who spent all her time watching the world and committed to memory what she perceived. Placidusax existing beyond time and thus being capable of seeing all of fate may be why we must be in his arena to use Miquella's needle to cheat fate and avoid becoming the Lord of Frenzied Flame. When you are touched by the 3 fingers, the flame of frenzy takes purchase within you. Your fate becomes that you will become the Lord of Frenzied Flame. Fate is symbolized as being a golden thread. To avoid your fate, you must thread the needle and stitch yourself a new ending. Thus, this is why we need to power up Miquella's needle in Plagisax's arena, a place where one is capable of manipulating fate. We may be capable of doing the same thing here, in this arena beyond time. A property of the Nightlord is the potential to alter fate. As the traces of night describe, they are qualities of the Nightlord, bearing the manifest potential to alter fate itself. Iron Menial has a dream in which he is handed the bone-like stone by the Nightlord, or at least he thinks it was the Nightlord. He says, "I sense a great power within. Power enough to change a person's fate, I do believe." The bone-like stone is also imbued with the power to alter fate. As the bone-like stone's description says, the bone of an outer god with the power to expunge divine essence, but that can also be destroyed by the same essence. The floor of the Nightlord Arena is this sandy beach, and in the sand are many misshapen white stones with distinct black holes. They look the same as the bone-like stone. As we know, Night is a god, and these bones appear in the Nightlord's arena, suggesting that they may be the bones of the outer god that is Night itself. The traces of Night are also described as twisted. The priestess says, "Traces of Night are rather volatile as a substance. Though warped, twisted, and stagnant, they quiver as if trying to cling to something." The twisting time aspect may be the important thing here. The ancient dragon smithing stones specifically say, "This stone lightly twists time, allowing for the creation of a weapon capable of slaying a god." The stone twisting time is what allows the smithing stone to be used to create a weapon that can kill a god. Then look at the bone-like stone. It can destroy divine essence, and is radiating a violet-colored essence itself, which may be the power of Night. Note that the old pocket watch, which only tells twisted time, also says, "This dark power is both a badge of lost innocence and the very thing that allows its owner to fight back." It's only after Duchess is given the pocket watch that she can journey outside of the Round Table hold. Perhaps the power to fight back is the power to alter fate, the twisting power which allows one to destroy divine essence, like the divine power of Night. Moreover, knowing the Nightlord's connection to fate, this may explain what the Cutting Gifted tribe's plan was. The Primordial Nightlord's rune says, "The Cutting Gifted tribe anticipated the coming night and spent many a moon planning its prevention, concluding that their only chance at success was to cheat a god." We use Plagisax's arena to cheat fate. The word cheat is used in both instances, and this may be related. It may be that the plan to cheat a god involved cheating the god of night, which involved manipulating fate, which makes sense because it sounds like the coming night was fated, and the tribe was trying to prevent it. Thus, it sounds like an inherent part of their plan involves manipulating fate. This may be what was meant by cheating a god. In the first part of his fight, Heolstor is bound by many wrappings. During this phase, his body is full of blue energy, and you cannot see his metal armor or the void within him. As we attack him, the wrappings break away, freeing his arms and the swords that were previously bound. At the end of his first phase, his body explodes with black energy, and by the start of his second phase, the Night Door armor, Void Within, and Primordial Nightlord's rune have been freed. The wraps seem to be binding the armor and blue energy within him, or perhaps a better word is sealed. The vestige of night is actually a fabric remnant of Heolstor's wrappings that Recluse found embedded in the Round Table hold. Its description says, "A clear sign of the Nightlord's presence, in the form of a terribly tattered rag, burned and worn down over a span of time untold, the hint of an impression once made by the engraving of an old sealing stone can be seen, but it is no longer legible. These impressions look like the markings on the Nightlord's wrappings. likely because the vestige of night is one of the Nightlord's old wrappings. The wraps look like the ribbons from the Recluse's ultimate art Soulblood song, and the script bears a resemblance to the script written in blood on the ribbons. I'll also note that it looks kinda similar to the Holy Ground script used by the Two Fingers to write the language of light. It makes sense that the culture who bound the Nightlord to prevent the coming night would be a culture all about light, day, and sun. So I think this tells us more about who the Cutting Gifted tribe was. The last line of the Vestige of Night's description is, "The menial asked about an engraving, but how did he know there was one before setting eyes upon it? Recluse found the vestige embedded in the Round Table hold, and it explicitly says it is a clear sign of the Nightlord's presence, meaning that the Nightlord has been at the hold before, or at least his wrappings have. Which I think explains the mystery of this last line. The menial knew an engraving existed because he's been at the Round Table for forever. He tells us he still remembers looking after those who became the Foundation long ago. We know these are the ancestors of the Nightfarers because he tells us they performed a ritual to lead the minds of their descendants here, so they could battle the night and absolve the sins of their ancestors. One of the tombs below seems to be marked as belonging to a witch of the deep woods, one of Recluse's ancestors. This might mean we can place the Nightlord at the Round Table hold with the original founders in Iron Menial long ago. So, the Cutting Gifted tribe used wrappings marked by impressions from a sealing stone to seal the power of the night within the Nightlord. More specifically, they sealed the Primordial Nightlord's rune within him. Like the Rune of Death was first sealed away in Malekith's sword, which I will note also has a black rift down its middle. The Cutting Gifted tribe wanted to prevent the coming night, so it makes sense that they would seal the Primordial Nightlord's rune, doesn't it? My bet is that they learned this idea from Malekith. This may even be the sin of the Erd Tree they glimpsed. After all, Malekith, as Garank, says the line, "Marika, is this what it means to sin?" Was it a sin to remove death from the Order? The Cutting Gifted tribe records that they were being punished for sins that their ancestors would need to absolve them of. And at the same time, they also glimpsed the sin of the Erd Tree. These two sins seem to be two different events, but maybe they share one thing in common. They may have both involved sealing a rune away. If you enjoyed this video and feel that it contributes positively to the Elden Ring community, please leave a like to help boost its visibility within YouTube's algorithm. To support the channel, please subscribe. My fellow Nightfarers, thank you for watching. See you in the next video.